Okay, let's get this thing going. Is it working? Okay, yeah, so this is Dave again. I'm doing another virtual co-working session of about an hour. Virtual co-working, as I'm running them, is making these videos in which I'm basically doing some actual work. You can follow along, but really these work better, I think, in the background. I mean, you might look every once in a while and see if there's something I'm doing that is of interest to you. You could type something into the chat room, or you could go to our virtual co-working chat on Discord and ask a question. But really, the idea of this is to host a co-working session where you don't actually have to be on the camera with me. And just kind of try to, pick up some of the energy, I suppose. This helps me because as I'm talking out the problem, I am focusing on solving the problem and not surfing the internet and looking for cat pictures. So YouTube's paying for all this bandwidth, so why not give it a try? And I'm learning how to better present myself. It's good for everybody. So today I'm working on some JavaScript stuff. You can see the description over here. Let me switch to the chat view. And what did I say I'm doing? I'm doing, can't actually read that there. Yeah, nodejs and JavaScript. I don't hear any sound yet. So this is maybe taking a while to start streaming. Am I dropping frames? Check. I think it's just taking a while to start up. Hopefully. It is close to prime time, so there might be a lot of lag going on. But anyway, let's just get this thing going. Let me close a few things on the screen and switch to the screen mode here. And let's pull up some stuff. First we'll pull up source tree, which is the source code version control system I'm using. Discord, let's put over in this side here. Let's lose one of these desktops. This one maybe. And also I need an editor, which will be this. Actually, I've been trying to use Visual Studio Code. Let's try that. So Visual Studio Code is another text editor. It's not quite used to how it works, but we'll see how it works out. Okay, so that's full screen now. I just got a text message that sounds like it's some sort of disaster is happening. I don't know what that is. I won't worry about it. So I'm just checking the Discord chat room. Note here that I'm starting a virtual co-working session to work on JavaScript for 1 hour. And nothing else is going on here. I'm going to go out of the actual chat room, the voice chat room. No one else is saying anything, so I'm good. So let's go over here. Oops. This window needs to be on this side. I have a particular order that I use for all of these things. So okay, so we're in here. Let's see what this is looking at. This is showing me what changes may have inadvertently been made. That one I need. That one I just guess I removed a space. Let's discard that. We don't need that change. So this is useful just for, kind of seeing what code changes I have made. My session video branch. So anyway, if we look over here, I need to remember what I was doing. I think the advantage of using Sublime Text is that I have my daily diary, but maybe I can load it from here. Let's see, dev notes, dev diary docs. So this is where I'm keeping track of what I've been doing. So we're rewriting the stop, record button press stuff. What's the last thing I worked on? I didn't update this apparently. The last thing I worked on was, I can check my timesheet. Yeah, let's try that. I'm going to open it up on this machine here to make sure that there's nothing Nothing bad about that. You can just watch. So, I'm opening up my Expel. No, I don't even have this. I finally upgraded to Excel 2016 on the Mac. It's just become my main working machine, especially for these JavaScript type projects. And I need to go to... I wish it wouldn't default to this stupid cloud thing. What am I looking for? Oh, I'm looking for Dropbox, my business folder, my accounting folder, and my freelance 2017 timesheet. And I'm going to enter in my password. Okay. Alright, so yeah, this looks okay. So I can switch this back. So this is my timesheet. Let's move this over way over here. And so last work I did was Monday. And what did I do? Good. I looked for handlers for recorder mode. Oh, that's right. I made this, which is because the code base is using something called React, and I was not familiar with the React setup, so I made an outline of just where all the custom controls and what the parent-child relationship was, so I could actually find out where these things were. So that was what I did last. But while I'm here, I'm going to update my timesheet. And so I am just, I made another entry, updating this date. Insert these. This is just Excel. And I have like these macros that, see that this timesheet format I have here. So I have 24-hour time that's incremented by 15 minutes. And I have a big macro here that turns these into fractional hours. So from 15:15, which is 3:15, to 16:30, which is 4:30, that's 1.25 hours. And so I just round everything up and down, like to the nearest quarter-hour increment. And it's much easier to just kind of get a sense of how much I'm working, how much I got done, because you can do things like, you know, select all these things and see down here, oh, I worked with 2.4 hours. I can sort all of this stuff. Like if I go to the aggregate spreadsheet, this is all resorted to show what my weekly and my monthlies are and stuff like that. And I entered this into another timesheet by copying and pasting it into it. So that works out pretty well. So what time is it? I'm going to say I'm officially starting this work now. So I'm going to set this timer. It's about, what time is it? 7:07. Let's say we're starting at 7:15. 10:07, I mean. Let's say we're starting at 10:15. And so what I want to do is get reorient. So what am I trying to do? Yesterday I worked out this thing. And previously I worked out this thing, which was a breakdown of all the logic and how all the modules talk to each other. And so now I can cleanly insert my changes. And I suppose I should probably write down what I think those changes are. And so here's another sheet that I was working on the other day. That is, these are the questions I was asking myself. How does Teacher App manage recorder state? And my goal was to do synced sim plus video playback with scrubbing. These are some of the things I needed to be able to get data from. So actually that's a good place to start. Where to get specific bits of data that I need to update the user interface. So I think the first thing we're going to do is source the playback properties for a UI insertion. So let's go back here. Oops, wrong place. All the way over here. We need to actually run the project though, so what I'm going to do is open up a terminal window. I'm still not hearing any audio. Is this thing working? I don't think it's streaming. I don't think this is recording at all. I don't see any dropped frames. Stream health is bad. Maybe it's this download that's killing it. Tom Clancy is updating. How do I suspend this download? Is there a pause? Maybe it's just uploading super slow. Stream health is improved. I don't know if this is actually working. Let me try reloading the screen. The cat has just made a terrible smell. Looks like it's running, but I don't hear anything. Test, test. It's very quiet. Because I do have that turned down, I guess. Okay, I guess it is working. Stream health isn't great, but I just jump back here and see. Alright, so anyway, this is working. So, the cat doesn't bury his own poop anymore. Gross. It's an old cat. Alright. Oh, alright, so I'm gonna work on this thing. Sync playback, but I got this terminal window up. What I'm gonna do now is just load the file. Let me turn this sound down a bit on this. So, alright, so I need to CD to my dev folder, and then I need to CD to the working project folder, and then the build directory, and then I need to run gulp. And so while that's starting up, you can see all this stuff happening in the bottom corner here. It's probably not running tremendously fast because I'm streaming at the same time, but it's good enough. Actually, let me move this Discord to the other window. I don't really need to see it here. You go back and forth. That works. So now that's running, so I can pull up the actual application. And for this testing, I need two parts. I need the teacher app. This is running my local network. It's talking to the node server that's running in the terminal window. And I also need to run the main game presentation, which is what everything syncs with. And so then this should pop in and things should happen. And I guess we want playback control. Yeah, so simulation, there's two aspects. There's simulation control, which captures stuff, and that's working. And then the playback control is what we're really focusing on. When I load one of these, and this UI here is what I want to improve the playback is. I don't see the video though. No, because I didn't save any video. Let me see if we can find one that does have video. Stop. Yeah, so this is the one that had video. So if I resume, and so this is a recorded video that I had done at the time. If I pause it, it should pause. If I resume it, it should resume. What's not working well is like this rewinding stuff. When I rewind it, like, we say, well, one thing, I don't even know where I am in this. There's no indicator of what the current time sync is. If I go back 1 second, I mean, there's got mode pauses. Get there? So if I resume it, yeah, I'm seeing the event start. I think it's at the end. Yeah, it's just not. It's just stopped here. I don't even know why. Oh no, it's still going. The simulation is now at a sync. So, and that's because there's two different systems that weren't designed to sync before, because we didn't have this video support in. So they're easily getting out of sync. That means I need to write something that will put these into sync. So, how to do that? And now we actually start the billable portion of the evening. I'm going to do, let's see. This is till September 5th. That's today, right? Or September 4th, I think. So I need to make some clarity for myself. Early time. My goal here is, oh, I'm way out of sync on this. Oh, it's not even on the screen. That's what it is. So here, I'm going to copy this into that place. So like this, I'll use this as a reference, and I'll type it in over here. I don't have enough space here to type. I'm going to do something about that. So anyway, this says, yes, I'm writing this down so when I get scatterbrained I can look at this and remember, what was I doing just a second ago? And all the things that have changed in the system are too much for me to hold in my head easily at one time. Yeah, like that's one of my limits as a programmer. My working memory is not very good. So synced sim plus video playback. So I'm not very good at multitasking. For some reason I can talk and do it at the same time though, which is weird. Probably because I'm just saying what I'm thinking. I was shaking some crud out of my keyboard. So now I've written that down. There's a few other things that I want to add. So the questions are, duration, how to get, what's going on here? How to get, what language does this think this is? This is plain text. Why is it auto-completing on me? It's dumb. Maybe it does make sense. Maybe if I set this to Markdown. Auto-detect. This thinks it's plain text. 2 spaces. Ah! Is there a Markdown mode? Yes. So let's see. How to get, is it still going to do autocomplete bullshit? Nope. Good. How to get duration of session. How to get current playback position. And I need to get the current recorder mode. And finally, have the UI buttons respond accordingly. I think the first thing to get working would be to insert the current playback position into the UI somehow, which means I need to go to, where is that? So accordingly, stop this. This is in playback control. I guess it's this. This is called, it's the top of playback control, which means it's in, it's on the left or the top? Playback control. This is game playback. So game playback JSX. Do I even have it running here? Let's close down some of these files I don't need. That's it, game playback. I don't think we need these at the moment. Just easily reload them if we need them. Alright, so there's got to be a render thing here. It looks like it's over here. So, what I want to do is insert. No, this is going to be a pain in the butt because it's all React. So I should do this the React way. But what is the React way? The React way is you put the value of something using, you change the state of it, but this is using Redux too, which still baffles me. I haven't really looked at the Redux architecture that's in here. Alright, so I guess it's time to free write and see if I can get some clarity for it. So our goal, or sub-goal, I should say, is to add a text field and print the current playback position in it. This will be important for debugging. So then there's more, so how do I add a text field? How do I update the contents of the text field using a React style? Do I need to use those stupid reducer things? I guess they're not stupid, I'm just trying to find them a little bit overly magical. And look at all this map state to props. So return, so Redux connect. What does this actually return? It'd be nice to know. Well, this is a React component. Well, actually, this is a module. When this is loaded, it must return a component. So there's two functions. So the map state to props is a function that takes a state. Oh, okay, this is the state packager thing, and it returns the playback state, and it must map this to props. State to props and dispatch to props. What's the difference? State to props must copy the local state of the React component to props, but don't you already do that? No, wait. No, wait, state is, props are passed down to the component. State must pass them back up. The dispatch to props is what? It receives a dispatch item. This is a one-time thing. This must be a handler of some kind. What does it do? Redux bind action creators. Action creators dispatch. What is action creators? That's this. Actions action creators. The local path. And I guess we need to look at that. Action creators. I'm assuming looks like there's just one. The teacher app. So these are all things that do things. So how would that work in the context of Redux? Map dispatch to props. Such a weird name. This is essentially a handler of some kind. Maybe what this does is when a property changes, Redux looks it up and then fires the appropriate action for it? Change activity, set background list. So this is, this is creating a state object. And at the same time, it's issuing calls. That's kind of a side effect, isn't it? Aren't you not supposed to do that with actions? So it's doing this Unisys broadcast thing. Maybe that isn't a side effect. Well, it doesn't change any data, so it's fine. I think that's okay then. I think this is like a normalizing thing. Yeah, so these are the actions. So that in game playback.js, where do we see these actions actually dispatched? We have playback. Is there a corresponding playback action? I don't see one. These are all toggles. So I'm not sure where this actually gets bound. Let's see if there's anything in. So these are all actions. These create actions. Now where's the dispatcher? Maybe you do that in, maybe these are defined up here. So we have onClick, we have a class name, we have an onClick this, on rewind start. What actually dispatches those actions? And better yet, what makes them change? So if I click this on fast forward, is this what dispatches the action? So on play click, it's calling this props toggle playback playing. I think that's what it is. So the action creator is actually, because I remember seeing that, toggle playback playing. There is that, and then that does this. Assuming that's not the only toggle playback playing. Let's take a look. Find in folder. Okay, so what do we got here? So, and we don't need any of these. This is a different app. Particles teacher, toggle playback play, toggle. Store dispatch. Yeah, this model just isn't very clear to me. Let's take a look over here. So when this on game, this is in game run, who's calling these? So an update recorder state, who calls this? Oops. Request current settings. Who calls that? On required app status change. Who calls that? This is happening where? Under the constructor? Yeah, so... And this is why I had to make a diagram of this stuff. I really have no idea without having to trace through all of this. Well, let me see if there's, before I get too much into the weeds on that, let's just see if I can find some piece of the UI that has text in it already. Like there's this, and these sliders might be the thing to use. How does this get updated? Looks like there's some bugs in this too. This is not drawing correctly. There's some of that. I don't see any other text fields. Unless this is a text field. What does it think this is? Yeah, that's a text field. So let's see if we can find this. Let's look for NPC count. NPC count is part of, we're in sim control. It's on the left side. So I'm looking at, there's a range input NPC count. And this is in control panel controls. So, where do my, it's not in the wrong place. Alright, so we're bailing on this action creator stuff. And we're looking at control panel controls. Let me get out of the search. So far, Visual Studio Code seems okay. I just wish I had the grid view. Oh, what happened here? I just switched out of the screen. Sorry. I should move this up here so I don't accidentally click on it. So what are we doing now? We are actually, I wish this thing made a noise when it switched. That'd be nice. I should put a big monitor up there. And what was I doing? I was looking for control panel controls, which is this. And in control panel controls, I was looking for this range input thing. So what do we have in range input? We have an NPC count. And then on change, it does something with this. Let's just copy this whole thing over to this side so we can just break it down. And let's see. So over here we have this on change NPC count. This is, what is this? Oh, it pulls things out of props. So change NPC count is a dereferenced, from this props, which is handed down from game run. Here I'm thinking. I don't see it here. Change NPC count. So somewhere here this is supposed to be doing something cool with properties, but I don't see it. I'm going to outline the rest of this stuff. So these are handlers, I guess, but who's handling them? Okay, these are messages that are registered. Okay, I'm going to start commenting this code. This is not my native commenting style. What's this section? Unisys handlers. And let's see what the advantage of having it set up like this is. But I try not to rewrite a lot of code. They're all Unisys handlers. So does this make sense? This, rather than doing it an honest way. I have it here. What's this stored dispatch stuff? I wonder if, so I'm trying to find out what the reference is for, what was it, change NPC count. I'm guessing that might be actually an action creator thing. And I'm getting stuck in the weeds again. Let's see if we can find it. Find change NPC. Oh, there it is. Yeah. From this props, which is defined in action creators. Just, it should be JSX, but is this JSX? Or is this pure JS? Actually, I guess this is pure JS. Yeah, this is not a JSX file. So, mystery number 1 solved. On change, it fires the action creator, which is indirectly stuffed the props somehow. By something. Now, what else do we have? We have a bunch of values, min, max. Min, max value are props for range input, I'm guessing. And so there's something called simulation parameters NPC count. Where are simulation parameters? Simulation, it's not here. Oh, there it is. Simulation parameters, which is another prop. Simulation parameters is another property. Another, this props deref. And this should be what? Simulation parameters is not a action creator thing. Is it? So it's something else, I would guess. Where does that get saved? Oh, that gets part of the state. Props also contains the state. So this is returning a type in simulation data. How does that get stuffed into there? Maybe it's up here. No results there. Where else could they stuff it? Maybe it's at the very top level of particles teacher JSX? No. Maybe it's at the top of simulation control? Okay, here it is. Well, this is dereferencing the same thing. How does it get stuffed into there? Where does this get set? It's aggravating. Where's the simulation parameters object? That might be part of the state. Yeah, here. State simulation parameters, but where is that getting initialized? Or does it have to be? Maybe the map state to props is what actually does it. State, though, would have to be defined, created. No, state is, oh, this gets past state. So that must get passed by redux. So I'm guessing simulation parameters must be defined in action creators as a parameter. And that's what it is. Okay. So the confusing thing is the states and props seem to be one thing. Question. This state and this props as far as action creators go are the same thing? No, that can't be right. State is a different... As far as I know, this props are initialization parameters for. This props is initialization params for a component at runtime. This state is current value, and so of a parm. So if that's right, then in game control panels, the constructor for this, which I don't see one. Or maybe the constructor doesn't. I'm going to have to look in a little bit deeper into this. But this is just doing everything in the render function. It destructures out of this props, but where does it get stuffed into this props? Alright, but I think I have enough here to just kind of try adding this thing. So let me go to where? Close that. Let me close this thing. Let's go close this. Oops. What changes? Oh, did I put the Unisys thing in? I don't see any changes. Oh, wait. Oh, okay, I did put changes here. Save that. And in this, what did I just do? Just transpose stuff. I want to add it to playback control in game playback. So here, this is a game playback, and somewhere in the render function I should just be able to shove this thing down there. So on div game playback controls, what is this? This is text row center. Okay, let's try doing this. So this will handle formatting. This is using then I should be able to just shove a range thing in. Range input label equal index, let's call it. And on change will do nothing. On change. I wonder how you actually set the location of it. Okay, that's the on change handler. We don't need to put that in right now. But the min is 0. And then the max is equal to, well, it's going to be the duration of the thing. And what would that be? How do the people handle it? Let's go back and load the other file. That was control panel controls, was it? So in control panel controls, the range input, how do these get changed? And that works. It's pulling out simulation parameters NPC count. I wonder if simulation parameters has a sense of time. But what we could do is just to see if this works. This This is probably not how you're supposed to do it. Well, let's just make it 100 for now. And then value is equal 50. At least we'll see if this renders something with something in the middle of it. Let's see count. No, I don't think range input's defined in this. Oh, it is, good. There's no other range inputs on this page though. So this must have been a copy-paste job. Yeah, lucky me. So if I save this, will this re-render it and add me a thing? So it should be regenerating the files down here. It's running a little slow. Uh-oh. Why isn't that connecting? There's an error. Where are the errors we're getting? Can't read probably bind up undefined, that new integer type. Why is this stuff? Oh, that's upsetting. Is it trying to bind based on one of these things? How did they do that different? Value, min and max. They have on change handlers. I wonder if that is required. Does it need to be part of a form group? Maybe. Who can say? Let's try replacing it with that. Doubt this will do anything, but let's see what happens. Could just be that I'm overloading the computer and it's not syncing up somehow. Alright, that, oh, okay, and there we get with the errors. Uncaught type error. They cannot read probably bind if undefined. A new range input. Construct component without owner. Is there some additional setup I need to do for this? Because we have range input defined. Oh, no, that's right. Step components range input. Is there anything that's causing this to? Do I need to set one of those dumb property things? No, these are functions. I am baffled. Why can't I do this? Label session index. Is index a reserved term? It seems unlikely, but let's just see if that changes anything. If that's not the case, let me try just recompiling it. Or like, are these all the same thing? This is happening in React DOM. React DOM, find parent. But where is it starting from? It's trying to update something, but I can't seem to grab it. I'm looking through the cost stack. Lots of components being mounted. So it's getting a message. It's getting the on-game properties. And that does a bunch of this stuff. And game run 129. Let's see what's going on with that. What was I say again? It was 129. Unlock teacher UI. Might goof something up. Let me try reloading this thing from scratch. Reload this. I'm just stuck waiting for simulation. Let's reload this. Okay, let me take out that thing I just added. Let's get it there. Reload this. Okay, that time it didn't break. So something I'm doing with this range input thing, it doesn't like. Let's load that, what was again? Control panel controls. These are the inputs. Min, max equals. It might be there's just a stupid syntax. Min equals max equals value equals. What is this? The only thing I'm missing is the onChange handler. Is that a required property? Maybe. Although you couldn't tell from this error. Yeah, let's try that. Let's just make a dummy one. So onChange equals change tester. Change tester. Console log got change E. I probably should make that this change tester. I do have an error. So it's linting, at least that works. Let's see if the error goes away. Okay, so I guess it was that mysterious error was the range input requires the onChange handler. And it throws a nasty looking error if you don't have it. Let's just verify that though. Just remove the whole onChange thing and just want to see what that error says. So yeah, the very first error is cannot read property bind of undefined. So it's trying to find the onChange handler. Wait, let's look at this. This is what? This is a minified file from... Oh, this is in our code. Okay, so it's a... What's this file? This is the output. What is the name of this file? Status bar. Use strict. This is transpiled code, it looks like. Oh no, maybe not, because of this. But I can't tell what file this is. Oh, no, it's in range.js. So we have a range input JSX maybe? We do, okay. So in range input JSX on the constructor, this is the bad code. It's not doing any checking. All right. It'd be nice to have a little more defensive coding in here, but I'm not going to touch this part for now. And so where am I now? So at least we know what the issue is. So if I go back to here, just change tester, and if I go back to a console, and go to playback control, do we have a range in it? We do. It even moves, and we can see the change values there. So that's exciting. Why that's weird looking, but so we have some sort of scrubbing control now. That's nice. Can I actually directly enter stuff in here? Alright, so that's great. Now we just need to figure out the right way of doing the update using all this BS. I mean, I don't think that, so the Redux makes sense if you're making changes to, you need to be able to reverse or play back. But in this case, if we're just doing UI updates, I don't think we need to throw it through React or Redux. It would be nice to know the way to do it, but let me just add it as a question. Q. How do you use freaking Redux as it's implemented in our code base? How much time is left on the timer? I've got 10 minutes left. What time is it now? It's also 11, almost 11. I probably should go to sleep soon. Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna write down what's next. So let's see. Let me rewrite this part up here. So these will be Q. And so we got this part. X. How do we update the contents? I'll fill these in later. I'll just make a little check-off list here. Subgoal 1. To get properties on session from recorder. So this is how to make UI respond to property changes. How do I add a text field? So this React style thing is like the big question. So I need to trace the way that this all happens. And so I don't need this part anymore. So I guess one thing to do is just to look at the React stuff here. What does React Redux Connect do? Let's pause this for now. React Redux connect. What is that? Let's see if this Redux is a terribly simple library for state management and has made working with React more manageable for everyone. However, there's lots of cases of 5 boilerplates, blah blah blah. The sole purpose of React Redux is to seamlessly integrate Redux's state management into a React application. React and Redux are separate libraries. Redux has a dispatcher. It has a reducer and a store which produces a state. Now, what is a reducer? We first need to know the store exists. Store creates store. Provides given the scope. Stores prop. Oh, okay. Store is just an object, right? Oh, so somewhere there's got to be a provider. That must be what the app with provider class is. Okay. Let me make some notes. 1 second, let me check something here. Alright, that looks good. So I'm going to make a note here. Somewhere at the top level there's something that's like, this looks like provider store equals store, and that wraps everything. Or does it? Yeah, it does. App, and then the provider is wrapped. Okay, document get element by ID app node. So this is wrapping how to link the store to the app. It's the top level prop. Wrapper. The store as the past prop. And it's just like a key value, I think. So that suggests that in our game run JS, this is probably an instance of app with provider. But where's the provider? I guess it would be in the render part, right? I don't see where it's wrapping it though. Oh, okay, here it is. That's what it's doing. So in our code, see game run JS render. Creates an element. Use of create element. Why is it doing it this way? I suppose. Why did this is equivalent to provider store is equal to store. Oops, what happened? Store particles a little bit of reminder stuff. So once that's done, provider node to be presented as a parent node on top of the app node. However, because the utility a provider gives us, it's more appropriate to represent something which wraps the entire application tree. Yeah, which is okay. So now we've provided the store to the application, the connector components to it. We established previously there's no way to interact directly with the store. So this code, you use the connector map the store state and dispatch to the props of component. Const to do is equal to what is this crap? This is okay, expects an object that will destructure. And it returns a div with a to-do text in it, and it just go destroy to-do. Then map state to props, get state. What the hell is this doing? Yeah, this is where I'm getting my limited short-term memory. I can't keep more than two things in my head at once. All right, so if I knew what these parameters were. What is a dispatch? Map state to props. It gets state and it returns a property. And then dispatch goes the other way. Return destroy to do, which is a function that does this. So what is dispatch precisely, and what is it dispatching? It returns an object whose keys are passed on props of the component they are connected to. So how do you connect the component to it? Here. Oh, this is weird. So it okay, my hour is up. I want to continue the thought here. So connect must return another function that's then bound to this. To do item is the rendered element. This is the component, I think. All right. So I'm going to guess. All right, so what? Why is it doing it like this? So okay, it's default React Redux connect. So it looks something like this. In our code, it would look more React Redux connect. And then there's two pure functions. There is the map state to props, and then map dispatch to props. And then this is the component. To connect changes to the store with the component. Use connect. And so map state to props what does this actually do? This returns some keys. Returns object with keys of what changed. But what are you changing here? This is called under what context? This is what I don't understand. So when something changes, well, this is connecting a component. The kind of things that happen in a component is the component changes state or state changes and component updates. So on click destroy to do, all right, so if there's a component, let's look at our code here again. So this is a component? No, here's a component. And here we're doing the structuring. This is the only properties this changes is the state of playback. I guess playback, all right. So map state to props is called when state changes. Of keys. When the store changes. I guess the confusing thing was like the store and the state are kind of the same thing. So the state, you can't change state directly, you can only read it. And sort state changes, Redux uses this function to return object that will be used, the props for render. And then map dispatch to props. What does this do? It's calling a new function called bind action creators. I guess we need to look that up too. See what this says. This is relatively new. Bind action creators. Yeah, so the connector component uses Redux. Bind action creator just returns an action object to be dispatched. My limited memory is unable to parse that. Turns an object's value of action creators into an object with the same keys, but with every... What's a dispatch call? Oh. So it's kind of like a wrapper function. There's this action creator thing again. An action has something that creates an action. So map dispatches to props, the simple sense. A dispatch is a function. Let's take a look at the action creators again here. So we have stuff like this. An action creator is a pure function that takes data, some kind, and creates a what do you call it? Dispatch. What is an action creator? An action creator or an action creator function produces an object that is used to modify the store or to represent a command to modify the store. Bind action creators. Looks like const map dispatch to props, e.g. This is done when dispatch is called. This is what looks up what needs to be produced, I'm guessing. Where's that other? Oh, that's the other. That's where I was before. How come this is not showing me the full history? I swear this loses stuff. It's 11:18 now. I was just looking at this where? Here? Okay. So there, map dispatch to props. Here it's returning a function that calls dispatch. Alright, so I'm guessing this actually calls dispatch. Let's see. let's go back here and copy this example. Compare it to what we have otherwise. So this is a simple version. Simple example. This is the action example. So in this case, I guess these are equivalent. Dispatch. Oh wait, no, that's not right. That isn't equivalent. What's the difference between this syntax and this syntax? Alright, these both show functions. Okay, maybe this is equivalent. So it receives a dispatch given a dispatch object. Called dispatch with given a dispatch object, return a function that accepts a function that uses dispatch object to function property for an object that contains properties that are functions that use the dispatch object to change the state. The name of the property has to match something, right? Is what is passed into the props object and can be used to invoke handlers. Okay. As UI event handlers. Alright, okay, so I think that makes sense. The action creators examples. This example takes an object, a bunch of properties in it. What is this class? An object, yeah. How is this written differently? It received data. It takes an object. Oh no, this has an action creator's object with the functions in it, and they are bound one by one. Each function receives data from whatever UI element calls it. Provides when calling it. Okay, so I think that's what it's doing. Ducks act. Oops. Alright, so I have a little bit of a sense of what this is doing now. So this run for map state to props this is the function that causes a re-render happen when the props change. And the Redux store changes. And it does this by include an example. This is what this is called when the dispatch function is used to change state somewhere. It's glue. It works with Redux. From React code, or elsewhere. So there must be some examples of the dispatch call somewhere here. Or rather, actually, I guess that's handled in action creators. So these, oh, there's nothing in here. That's different from this example. Where is dispatch happening? Anywhere? Store dispatch. It's only a few places it happens, I guess. Here in... There's a lot of mentions here. I guess this uses a lot. So... Upgrade, redundant, these are examples, so we don't need this one, we don't need, this one we don't need, these two we need. So, okay, so we have things like, these are handlers, dispatch, action creators, set permissions, data, student UI, CB done. Okay. Stay somewhere. So how do you know what the action creator is? The action creator is actually, you dispatch it with a function. Really? Then what's the mapping for? Let's see. Example, this is how you change. This is how you change the store. Student. Data. All right, so this initiates the change. The map dispatch to props takes that dispatch and it runs it through this thing. Here we're passing it the actual set student permissions code with the data. So if we look at the action creator for that, oops, set student permissions. Here is action creators, set student permissions. So we can see returns this. So the dispatcher gets a function. No, wait. This store dispatch gets a this is an object. Let's make it like this. Let's state, or let change object is equal to this to make this clear what it's doing. And here, what is this actually doing? Data Is that shorthand for return? ES6 shorthand for return an object. So if we have an arrow function, this baz, concise body, no. Arrow function and concise body. This sounds like a language feature that I'm not going to like. Arrow function, object literal format. There's the ES6 version. What is this BS? Set name. So this returns an object literal. Set name ID ES6. Why is this wrapped in parentheses? That seems dumb. ES5. ES6. Map. Okay. So I guess that's an example of the concise body format. So what this returns is an object literal that has this. It uses concise, what's the name of it? Object literal syntax. Arrow function, object literal syntax to return an object. So then when we call dispatch, as set student submissions, it returns this object, which is then dispatched. And once it's dispatched, it does its thing. It will get this type and then whatever other properties. So the type is going to change. I guess type might be a reserved thing. Or is it? Because it could use the function signature itself as for the rewinding thing. Is there a reserved redux properties? Why not store objects? Get state dispatch. Subscribe. What was the reducer again? Anyway, I think I understand this well enough. I'm going to sleep on it and see if it makes any more sense tomorrow. So I am going to call it a night. We got a little bit farther. Not sure I can bill for the Redux exploration, but I will note it and then deduct it. So what time is it now? It's 11:39, so let's call this 11:45. 23:45. This should be at 22. How long is this? An hour and a half? I guess technically it's I'll make a note here. 23:45. About an hour was it an hour? How long am I in this? About 40 minutes was spent in 45 minutes spent tracing the React code. See how it worked. So if I wanted to deduct that, I guess I could do that. So the way to do that would be to make this go back by a few minutes. Or do something like that. And then the sum would be 75. But you know what? Maybe I don't want to do that. I'll review it later. Okay, so now I'm done. I have a better idea what to do tomorrow. Now that I have this Redux notes in, how to update the content of this? I think I use dispatch. See notes below. Below. Use dispatch. Which means create, and no, you know what, I don't need to do any of that. I should just be able to load in the props. Well, let's do it the right way. Create and this seems really stupid though. Or actually, instead of tap into action creators that handle recorder data. Find out what props they're using and update the UI that way. Okay. Aha! Okay, that might actually work. Okay, so I feel like I've made some progress and I understand this part of the code base a little bit better. So I'm gonna call it a night. Fairly productive, you know, fairly boring, but small progress is being made, and I made my minimum billable hours for the day, so still on track for the week. So thanks for watching. Hope you're going well with your work. Hopefully we will be able to talk about it someday. Bye.